Welcome everyone to Vision Mix Studios, our YouTube channel, and visionrecordingstudios.com. How are you, everybody? Happy New Year. It is February 1st, 2014. And this video today, because it's been about a month since I've done a video, and I'll explain why in a minute, I'm getting ready to do a whole series of videos, but it's kind of to hold me over for the next few weeks while I create those videos. I wanted to give you guys another question and answer video. Again, I got about 5 or 6 new questions that came up since the last time I've done a question and answer video. So I thought I would answer that quickly and give you guys something to look forward to, tell you about what I'm going to be doing over the next 2 or 3 months as far as content for you guys. So again, before we get to that, thanks for liking, thanks for subscribing, thanks for passing our YouTube channel along to other people. We're at about 2,600 members, give or take, which is fantastic. Again, I thank you so much. I'm glad you're liking the videos, and I'm glad this is helpful for you. So keep passing it around, keep telling people about us. The bigger we grow, the more ideas come in, the more two-way conversation we have, which in turn gets you guys better content because it gives me more ideas on what you guys really want to learn. And it gives more of these questions that keep coming up, which I can answer in video form. So this is really good. So again, thank you for all the positive feedback. I really do appreciate it. I'm having a good time with the channel. I wish I was creating, or I wish I had the time to create more content more frequently, but I'm just so busy here with my studio that I just try to do these in between clients, in between sessions, in between projects. So please forgive me. I know it's been about a month since I've done a video, but I'm going to be doing more, a little more frequently, very, very soon, I promise. So let's get to the question and answer stuff, and then I'll talk about at the end of this video what videos I'm going to be producing over the next 3 or 4 or 5 weeks. Okay, so question number 1 came in, asked me about how long does it take me to mix and master a song? And that really depends. And to mix a song, depending on the length of the song, depending on how many tracks they are, depending how much editing needs to be done, it takes about 3 to 4 hours for me to mix a song, meaning, and that includes the cleaning of the tracks, the editing, the gain staging, the whole thing. So when the client sends me a project, let's assume it's a basic band, you know, drum kit, bass, couple of guitars, some background vocals, some lead vocals, maybe a string section, bass, nothing, you know, way out of the ordinary or way too much instrumentation, just basic stuff. Typically, it takes me about an hour to an hour and a half to listen to that music, sort through it, clean all the tracks up, gain stage the project. And once I have that done, then it takes me about an hour to an hour and a half to mix the track from beginning to end. Typically, I like to work pretty fast. And if you watch any of my other mixing videos, you'll see I tend to work in a pretty quick fashion. I don't like to spend a lot of time laboring over something. If the tracks are recorded fairly well, usually my instincts take over and I know exactly kind of what I want to do. And I'm going to do, one of the videos I'm going to be doing in the near future is kind of taking you through that process, because one of the other questions that came in was they were struggling with, I guess, quote unquote, the vision of what the song should sound like when you sit down to mix, and what was my thought process when I'm sitting down and listening. And it's hard to describe that because every track's a little different. So I'm going to do a video specifically on that. I have a track in mind that I'm going to use where I'm going to take you through my whole mixing techniques, which will be kind of repetitive to some of the other stuff, but I have some new tools, some new gear, some new plugins and stuff that I can show you, which you haven't seen in the past. Plus, I can also talk you through my thinking and my vision when I'm mixing a song, which is what a few people have asked me to do. So that is coming. But to answer the question, it's to edit, clean up, gain stage, and mix the song, about 3 to 4 hours, typically. Sometimes it's a little less, sometimes it's a little more, but that just kind of gives you the average. And then someone asked, well, how long does it take you to master? About an hour to an hour and a half to master one song. Again, it depends. If I'm mastering a whole album, it takes longer, certainly. But if it's just one track, an hour to an hour and a half. And again, that's just kind of a ballpark. Sometimes it's more, sometimes it's less, but that's typically what it takes. So great question. Hope that helped. Stay tuned for some more videos, as I talked about in a minute, or a second ago, of what I'm going to be doing as far as mixing. Question number 2. Someone asked me, where do I buy my gear? And like, where do I buy my equipment from when I'm buying stuff for the studio? A couple of different places, but if I'm buying something new, brand new, 99 out of 100 times I buy it from Sweetwater, sweetwater.com. I'm sure people that are watching this either buy from Sweetwater. If you heard of Sweetwater, if you haven't, go to sweetwater.com. They are Probably the best place that I've ever purchased gear from. They have, I mean, every brand name under the sun, everything from entry level to really high-end pro studio stuff and everything in between. And what I really like about them more than anything, not so much their gear selection, although that is second to none. They have stuff you just don't find in Guitar Center or Sam Asher, those types of places, is their sales engineers and the knowledge of the people that work there, their knowledge of the products. And if you have never bought anything from Sweetwater before, when you purchase something from them for the first time, they're going to assign you a sales engineer, and that sales engineer is kind of assigned to you. So every time you place an order, if you need to talk about a concept or talk about some gear or talk about your thoughts about what you'd like to add to your studio, and you need someone to bounce some ideas off of, you call Sweetwater, you get in touch with your sales engineer, and they have kind of a rundown in their computer what gear you've purchased from them before, maybe gear that you've not purchased from them before, what's your studio setup kind of like, so they can kind of help guide you. And I love that. To me, that is worth the price of admission. Their gears sometimes is a little bit more expensive than where maybe you can find it other places online. I mean, slightly more expensive, and I've even had to match pricing if I found something, let's say in Guitar Center on their website for $30 less. I think almost every time Sweetwater would match that price. I don't know if that's a policy of theirs, but I've had them do that for me before. So they're very competitive with their pricing, but what you really get is there's the knowledge of the sales engineer. So I highly recommend Sweetwater.com. I'm sure a lot of people that are watching this are all nodding their head. Yes, we already buy from Sweetwater, but a few people have asked me that question, newbies, wanting to know where do I get my stuff from? And that's usually where I get it from. If I'm buying something used on eBay, typically, but I'm careful about what I buy on eBay. And Craigslist, I bought some stuff off Craigslist, although I've sold a lot more stuff on Craigslist than I purchased off Craigslist. Typically, when I'm buying stuff for the studio, microphones, hardware, outboard gear, I always try to buy either almost brand new or brand new, and I like buying stuff that has warranties, so I recommend Sweetwater.com. That's who I would purchase my stuff from. So check out their website. I'll have the link in the description, so you can check all that out, and they're a great place. So thanks for asking that, and that's where I get my gear from. Oh, another question came in about what software I use to record these YouTube videos. And I use ScreenFlow. I'm on a Mac, if you don't know that. And that's what I use. There's some other programs out there you can use, but ScreenFlow I think it's like $99. Not really sure. I haven't bought it in a long time. I have the latest version, but when I first purchased it, I think it was $99. And then every time once they release a couple of new versions, I'll tend to upgrade, and they're like $20 or $30 for the upgrade. And I just like it because it's easy to use. It's simple. It's plug and play. You have a lot of editing capabilities. You can really, make your videos look really snazzy and flashy. As you know, by looking at my videos, I don't tend to do that. Maybe some text will pops up on the screen and stuff, but I don't do a lot of things with transitions and such. But you can. I mean, I've seen some really nice videos, and it's a simple program to use. So that's what I use. If you're on a PC, because I don't think they make ScreenFlow in a PC version, I know people that use Camtasia, and that's very similar to ScreenFlow. A lot of the same features. Don't know if it's better or worse because I never use it, but I've seen it, and I know people that have used it and they like it. So I would probably say that that's the equivalent to ScreenFlow for the PC would be Camtasia. So that's what I use. So check that out. I think their website is telestreammedia.com. But again, I'll put that link in the description. So thanks for asking that question. That's what I use ScreenFlow, and I'm on a Mac. Okay, the next question. Actually, I got this question. I get an awful lot. Mixing resources and resources around mixing. What websites do I tend to visit to learn from? Are there any reading materials and or videos that I would recommend? And I do have a few. I would recommend visionmixstudios.com, which you're all watching this from. I'm just kidding. It's a shameless plug for learning. I would also recommend the Home Studio Trainer, especially if you're a PreSonus guy, Studio One guy. The Home Studio Trainer is really good. Johnny Geib over there does a wonderful job. He's a very good friend of mine. We're going to be doing some stuff together in the future, but he is a great resource, and the guys over there are excellent. A lot of the members from the Home Studio Trainer are now members of are subscribers of mine on YouTube. So shout out to all you guys, and they're great. And they're really helpful. So that's a great resource, especially if you're into PreSonus gear and Studio One in particular, the Home Studio Trainer. I also recommend the Recording Revolution, Graham Cochran over there. I'm sure you guys know of him. He's a Pro Tools guy, but he does he has a ton of great content, and he also shows a lot of, mixing techniques, gear reviews, songwriting reviews. Graham has been doing it for a long time. And he does a great job. And I've learned a lot of little tips and tricks from him. And I've shared some emails with him back and forth in the past, and have shared a couple of ideas with him. So we're not very close colleagues, but we do chat every once in a while and exchange emails. And he's a great guy, and he has a really good website. So that's the Recording Revolution is another place I would recommend. And then one of his colleagues, Joe Gilder over at the Home Studio Corner, he's another guy who was, for a long time, a big Pro Tools user, and now is a Studio One guy. And I know he does a lot of work with PreSonus, and he's just redid his studio over, and I think he's getting ready to put together a studio tour with some of the new gear that he has. At least he says he is. But again, in the past, I've learned a lot of stuff from him. As a matter of fact, I think I purchased one of his products years ago, or not years ago, probably a year or so ago, just to see what his teaching style was like about compression. He has a wonderful product, a downloadable video series on compression, all done in Pro Tools, because he was a Pro Tools guy at that time. But but the techniques apply and the concepts are the same regardless of the DAW. Very good product. He has a really great way of explaining things, and I've learned some stuff from him in the past too, so he's another great resource. Another great resource that I use, that I've used online before, is puremix.net. Check that out. Fab over there at Flux Studios in Manhattan. He has a great set of videos and teaching. Not so much DAWs in particular, but concepts and techniques. And he does a lot of great things as well. So that's another good resource that you can check out. And then I'm sure you guys have heard of Pensado's Place. Love Pensado's Place. That's more of a kind of a sit-down interview show. Dave Pensado, a famous mix engineer, interviewing and talking to a lot of other famous mix engineers and producers and songwriters and people that are in the business. And you'll learn a lot of little tips and tricks from guys that do this for a living. And these are the major players, the Tony Maseratis and the Chris Lord Alges and the Andrew Sheps. I mean, and the list goes on and on and on. But go over Pensado's Place on YouTube and check out their videos if you've never heard of him. I'm sure a lot of people here, again, have heard of these resources, but if you haven't, go check that out. Wonderful stuff. And Dave Pensado also does a segment in his weekly show called Into the Lair, which goes into the studio with Dave Pensado, and he shows you concepts, tips, techniques, and a whole different array of things, and in all different styles of music. So that's a fantastic resource, and I really love Pensado's Place. It's entertaining, and I love listening to the pros and what do they do, and you come to kind of solidify some of the things that I'm doing, and also pick up some new ideas and some new techniques, and I try them on my own. And that's all these resources is kind of how you build your own personal toolbox, because when you're mixing and mastering and dealing with audio, there are no rules. There's a lot of guidelines, but we've talked about this before. There's no manual that says you got to do it this way. There's a million ways to skin a cat. And so everyone does things a little differently. So by checking out all these different websites and listening to how other guys do it, which is, I assume, the reason why you're on this channel, is what are the things that I do? And then you take little ideas and you take, techniques and concepts and tricks and whatever you want to call it from all these different people, and you build your own workflow and you build your own set of techniques that work for you and for your clients. And so it's just another way of doing it. And lastly, I also look at James Lugo. He is out of North Carolina. If you search him on Facebook and on YouTube, James Lugo's channel, another great producer, engineer, singer, songwriter. And he is more of an old school analog guy with a big SSL, with all outboard gear. He doesn't really do a lot in the box, although he goes through Pro Tools, but everything goes through his SSL console, which is a little different than what a lot of guys that are watching his channel do. But again, he shows you a lot of outboard gear. Talks, shows you the process of how he mixes, how he writes songs, how he records different instruments. He's a big guitar guy. So if you're a guitar player, especially rock or a metal guitar player, go check out James Lugo's channel. But anybody can learn from him as well. He's always putting up videos and kind of giving his studio tours, and there's a lot of fun stuff on his site. So it's not as structured as maybe something like the Recording Revolution or puremix.net. but it really gives you an inside look at a guy who really does this, who has really upgraded his studio over the last couple of years. A couple of years ago when I first was turned on to him, he was in a little studio in LA with Pro Tools. And I think he wasn't even using a control surface at that time. One of the first videos I saw that he posted was when he got his Control 24. So he went from going solely in the box with a few pieces of outboard gear to a 1986 SSL with tape machines and just racks and racks of preamps and outboard gear. And again, trying to do a hybrid analog digital kind of a setup. And so I've seen that whole, transformation happen in his videos, and it's really, really great. I mean, and he does a good job. And again, it's down and dirty. It's not real high end production in his videos. It's kind of him walking around with a video camera and kind of narrating what he's doing and why he's doing what he's doing, but he's really effective. So shout out to James Lugo. If you haven't checked him out, go check him out as well. So those are the websites. And I have a couple of books and a DVD that I want to show you that you might be interested in. The first DVD, or the DVD that I've watched recently, is right here. Hopefully you could see this okay in the view. It's by Shane Wilson. And it's Shane Wilson's Guide to Mixing. You can find this on Amazon. I think I paid $40 or $50 for it. It's a 2 DVD set. It's about 3 or 4 hours, I believe. I haven't watched the whole thing yet. 3 or 4 hours of instruction where he takes you through a full kind of a rock mix from the time that the client sends him to the mix to the time he puts the finishing touches on it, all done in Pro Tools. This was recorded back, I think, in 2007. So I think at that time it was like Pro Tools 6 or Pro Tools 7 that he was using. And he also uses that in conjunction with a Trident console. But a lot of little tips and techniques and thought processes from a guy, a pretty famous Nashville mixing engineer. So I would recommend this. This is great. You'll find a lot of little gold nuggets in Shane Wilson's Guide to Mixing, so you can check that out. And on the second DVD, they give you all the session files for what you're watching in the video. So now you can take that track and you can apply some of the teachings, or you can mix it yourself. So that's pretty cool. So it's a 2 DVD set. Again, Shane Wilson's Guide to Mixing. You can find this on Amazon. You can find it just about anywhere. And then I have a couple of books that I would recommend if you're looking for some reading material and you're kind of just starting out. The first one is by Mixer Man, The Zen and Art of Mixing. This is a great book. Mixer Man is really cool. You can go out to his forum and his website. He has an audio podcast, and I think an audio book on the daily adventures of Mixer Man, which is a really kind of a cool, funny story. It's kind of an inside diary to a real life session that he was involved with, and all the trials and tribulations that come along with recording a band in the studio, and all the names and all the faces have been changed to protect the guilty, I guess you could say. But funny listening for sure. But it's really cool to kind of hear what really goes on in a big time studio. But this book here talks about mixing, his thought process on mixing, his thought process on gear in the box, out of the box, analog summing, all that kind of stuff. It's a kind of a light read. It's an easy read. It's not very long. It's just a few hundred pages. But I would recommend this, The Zen and Art of Mixing by Mixer Man. Again, you could pick this up on Amazon or any of your favorite online retail outlets. And then the last book I want to show you is Mike Senior's Mixing Secrets for the Small Home Studio, or for the Small Studio. This is a really, really good book. Mike Senior is also, I think, the chief editor, one of the chief writers in Sound on Sound magazine. And this goes through the beginning stages of setting up your home studio and how, the small studio, all the little things that you have to deal with and all the things you have to overcome in a small studio and how you get around that. And this is a wonderful book. If you're looking and you're in the beginning stages, or even if you're an intermediate or an advanced guy, this is a great read. I would pick this up for sure. I've read this twice already over the last couple of years. Excellent book. I would highly recommend this. Mike Senior's Mixing Secrets for the Small Studio. Okay. So those are the resources that I would tell you to take a look at if you're looking to better yourself at your craft and looking for some more resources to help you get better and help expand your tools in your toolbox. There's a ton of websites I mentioned, those books. I'll put all the links in the YouTube description, so you'll have that. And so that was it. Those were the 4 or 5 questions that came in. So I wanted to just do this quickly and get this out to you. And Some of the videos I'm going to be doing over the next, say, 3 months. I have a short list of them here. I'll give them to you so you know what's kind of coming down the pike. So there was a video I did not too long ago on how to get how I get a professional polished vocal recording. And what I failed to do in that video, and I apologize, is when I talked about plugins. I didn't really take you into into Studio One or into the DAW and show you how I use reverbs and delays to kind of finish off the sound. I talked more about the analog outboard gear that I use, the microphones, and so on and so forth. So I'm going to finish up that video with showing you some things I do with reverb and delays to kind of help, sweeten up and polish up that vocal recording. So that's a video that's coming. I'm also going to be doing some videos on how to share Pro Tools and Studio One and Logic sessions with people. So I get a lot of questions from people who want me to mix their record. How do I share my files? And so I'm going to do kind of a step-by-step how to do it with Dropbox, how to do it with Gobbler, to kind of make that easier for you if you're sending files back and forth, and what you want to be sure you do, and how you make sure you get everything that you need in one place so you could send it to your mix engineer to mix your stuff. So that's a video that's going to be coming. Another video I'm going to be doing for sure, and I've been saying this for a while, but the reason why I haven't done it yet was because I've been upgrading a lot of gear in my studios. I'm going to do a studio tour, and I'm going to go through a video that's specific to analog summing. I've recently purchased some gear, and I'm doing more of the analog. I'm doing analog summing now, and someone asked me to do a video on how to set up Studio One when you're doing analog summing, and I will do that. So if you're watching this video, I am going to do that. As well as a separate video on how to set up the inputs and the outputs and the routing in Studio One. And I'll also do it for Pro Tools, because I do use Pro Tools from time to time when clients send me projects. And I use Dangerous Music gear for my analog summing. I've just gotten into this maybe a month and a half ago, and it has opened up. I can't say enough about it. I won't take up too much time here. But if you ought to take a look, I'll leave some links below again for you to do some research on what is analog summing if you don't know what it is. So when I create the videos and show you how I'm using it, you'll kind of be able to wrap your head around it. But analog summing is another thing that's a big upgrade to my studio, which I've never really talked about before because I just did it, and I'm loving it. So that's another video that's going to be coming soon. I'm also going to be doing a full series, probably 2 or 3 videos on mastering an entire album. Someone asked me to do that. I've showed you how I mastered a single track, but I've gotten a lot of requests for mastering multiple songs in an EP or a full length. And it'll probably be a full length CD that's going to be finished being recorded over the next couple of months. And then once I get to the mixing and the mastering stage, especially, I'm going to document the mastering for that as well. And I think that's it for now. Yes. So those are the next 4 or 5 videos that are going to be coming. It's going to happen over the next 2 to 3, 4 months. Again, I'm going to squeeze these videos in as quickly as I can. I'm sorry that I haven't created more content more frequently. It's just been extremely busy. And again, have been waiting for suggestions from you guys on what you want to see, so I can help provide you what you want and not just make the old run-of-the-mill video that everyone else is making. So hope that helps. Again, thank you so much for your support. Please like, please subscribe. Tell people about, our channel here. If you have any other suggestions on what you'd like to see, what other content you'd like me to create, shoot me an email, either through YouTube or at visionrecordingstudios@yahoo.com. If you're looking for some more personalized, customized training that's specific to you, I offer that as well on my website, visionrecordingstudios.com and visionmixstudios.com. So until next time, which will hopefully be in the next 3 or 4 weeks, take care, everybody. Have a great 2014. Keep making great music, and I will see you soon. Take care.